fancy lady. Alright, what is happening, people? This is the one, the only, the Naughty Bear. Lots of people are asking me what is new with Nexus Wars. How is this super cool version different from the abandoned vanilla map? And instead of typing those thoughtful comments at every single game, what I had decided to do is to make a short video. And just outline what are the new things coming from the most recent to, I guess, less recent. You start with considerably more amount of minerals in the beginning of the game, and currently I'm tweaking with a whole bunch of parameters so that either units are moving faster or buildings are producing units faster, but something that we refer to as the game boost. We as in the royal we, because there's only one person in the room right now recording this video. It's always curious with me whether or not these videos are actually going to get to the publish stage. Now, 30-second units are unchanged. What I did add was High Templar is being able to use their special ability, which is, if you give me a second, it's going to be called feedback. Anyway, so it has the ability to drain energy and deal the corresponding amount. Something like that. So you could counter tempests, you could counter everything else, and of course that ability is going to prioritize psionic units. Another major change is that warhounds, now let me demonstrate. Warhounds should be able to take advantage of the volley. Now volley is a special thingy that deals extra damage to mechanical units. And it always really bothered me when warhounds would just see a Zergling, for example, and target Zergling and not target a tank. So right now you're going to see that even though we have a whole bunch of mechanical units here, warhounds are going to try to hit mechanical units first. So that's a little bit of a boost. Now, the issue with warhounds right now is that unprotected, they will be still countered by immortals. I did narrowed down the gap between let me see, I'm gonna get pushed right now for sure. I did narrow down the gap between toss immortals and other units in the game, so you no longer can build 5 immortals like what the guy's doing right now. It's probably gonna go air. You can no longer build like just 5 immortals and then 26,000 tempests, go on and start putting the game into a stalemate mode. Units are a bit more narrowly guided together, but immortal will dominate one-on-one, but there are options. And I had certainly buffed uh-oh, here comes Ultra. I'm screwed now. I had certainly buffed Ravagers. Alright, let me stop and think, how am I going to get out from this mess? Because I'm about to not have a good time. The best thing that I could think of was, but you saw feedback in action. What do we have here? Feedback, yeah. Feedback in action, and it's cool. And it does help. It does help, especially with queens. Now you see how the Warhound was attacking immortals. That's because Warhound is most efficient against emos. So Am I going to get raped again? Yeah, it's not working out for me right now, especially with these guys. I'm gonna nuke again. Mama had to nuke again. Put a nuke. Doo-doo-doo. I wonder if I'm going to be able to catch up with all those demos and whatever, but it seems like, playing full force and really putting the pedal to the metal, so to speak, is not a good idea for attracting people. They just dislike it for some reason. They go like, I don't like losing. Losing is part of becoming better. I can't tell how many games I had lost before I was even called Naughty Bear, whatever that means. All right, so I'm down 2 nukes. I'm not the best person to talk and play because somehow, but you can see that Warhounds they're cool in terms of that. Okay, well, what is happening here? Getting slowly turned around, which is never a good thing, so let's see what I can do. Just gonna add some specters because I'm definitely having problems with this. And let's add some Scourge because I really want to get some establishment in the air. Now, the difference between the abandoned map and the beautiful updated map is Scourge. I was trying to nerf Scourge around, and I realized that, make it manageable and make it realistic. Oh, what is this? Okay. And I realized what happened was these guys, infestors, they would not target Scourge for some strange reason. So, Scourge would just fly under infestors and it wouldn't get slowed down by infestors. Well, now that has been fixed, and now infestors properly slow down Scourge. I'm planning to, by the way, what am I planning? I'm planning to nerf upgrades on Hydra. All right, so there we go. We are coming from the good old, Immortal, couple of more units, and then let's rush some Tempest while killing my economy in the process. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to demonstrate some of the improvements to the game. So I'm going to roll out my Ravagers. Ravagers are going to help with air tremendously, and then they're going to become a really, really good buffer for those Immortals, right? So he goes with the nuke, right? So we are what? He's up. I used 2, he used 1. So there we go, a whole bunch of Tempests. Now what I can do is I can punish that, which I'm going to do, right? So Tempest has been improved. If you click on Tempest right here, I cannot unfortunately control it, but Tempest had been improved. Now, what is the nature of improvement? I had figured out how to prioritize weapons. It's not clean, it's kind of like an ugly workaround, but it works. And the way it works is the following. I've added another weapon, there you go, right, that has a slightly longer range. So Tempest has a range for its weapon that can only target massive units. So quote-unquote, Tempest is going to prioritize massive units like that. Now, I did spend some time trying to buff cannons, by the way, but that just leads to more stalemates, and there's not a lot of new people coming to play the game, so I guess cannons went back to whatever they were. All right, so a little bit, yeah, he was ahead. It was certainly countering me, but you see the rush of Tempests, and then he just got overwhelmed by lower tiered units. So, all right, this is going to be game number 2. Poor Lito doesn't have a good experience playing the game, so let's see if that stays the same. All right. In terms of 1v1, naturally there are 4 pylons being built, so you don't have to waste 3.5 game time minutes on this nonsense. And you have the pylons right away. The income is matched to bringing you exactly to a point where the pylons were built in a regular 1v1. Now this area right here, the harsh green marks, they all indicate no build area. The reason the no build area exists in the mid row here is that to prevent people from trying to sneak in 3 units into the mid row. I may remove this, by the way, just to give the mid row more units in the middle. And this no build area has been actually added today. Yeah, today. The reason for this is discussed on the Discord channel. Yeah, I go into extensive details. And long story short, it is to balance out and to allow Kerrigan Snipe to actually exist. What I had done today was to prevent Kerrigan from being able to tunnel target structures and as their tunneling target. So if somebody tries to tunnel under the Nexus, it's just not going to happen because they are going to be prevented from doing so. Now, I'm not doing anything strategic here, by the way. I'm just building units on autopilot without any strategy or whatever. Syncing remained the same. I'm not planning to mess around with syncing too much. The map is configurable into 1-lane or 2-lane version right off the bat. And the reason for that is to avoid having to support 2 maps and avoid having to conduct duplicate updates. Updates take forever, by the way. It's not an easy process. It does take quite a little bit of time. Now let's just mess around because the guy doesn't seem to be being that up, so let's just demo some stuff. 30-second sync is still 30-second sync. Now in terms of DTs, I borrowed the idea from Nexus Wars Pro and I guess John Phobia and whoever was inventing that stuff. And now we are spawning 2 Dark Templars instead of 1. Gives this unit a little bit of a rush game, gives this unit a little bit of a pressure for people who don't know what detection is in Nexus Wars. Quite a recent change to Reapers, not a very significant one, but to signify that I do listen to people's feedback. Reaper had been changed to 30 seconds so that it does not go stranded, being easily overturned by other units. And I brought his rapid healing stuff back. Now the guy on the other side is conducting something that I would label as noob mistake. He went, like not a very thoughtful combo, and then he rushed Colossus. It's too early for the Colossus, so tier 2 units like Hydra, even Hydra spam, is going to be able to take this down quite easily. Now, I'm not sure if he has detection, but you see 4 DTs, they can take care of themselves. They can certainly take care of themselves. Does he have detection? No, I don't think so. So I'm going to stop building. Oh, there's an Ultra. And I'm going to wait, I guess, for him to get a detection, because that Ultra is going to turn things around, but those 4 DTs, I'm thinking that they're going to be able to do good. Now, Reaper's speed has also been matched so that they are not left alone for being an easy target. This is useless, obviously. These guys have been added, they're just fun unit. People ask me to buff them. That experiment didn't go well because you can go for the first 10 minutes just massing Zerglings, and it was quite a successful and annoying strategy. People would just go mass Zerglings, maxing out their supply to 45 and 50 and just being able to put the pressure on. So here are these DTs, and they're doing their stuff. Maybe I'll add that teleportation feature that had been introduced in other games. That would make DTs even more of a reasonable choice. And you really have two solid paths to Archons now. You can either go DTs and have a short-term undercover game, short-term detection game, or you can go High Templars and counter energy units. Now, High Templars having the drain ability, they really help out with unanswered medivacs and what else? Science vessels, right? So I can add High Templars, and they're going to completely drain out those air units right off the bat. Now, they're not super buffed in a sense that because queens can now heal themselves, and queens are armored. So we have more psionic units that could become a target for High Templars. They're a little bit buffed, but it's really challenging to balance that thing out in terms of them just being spawned and whatever across all game modes. So I'm going to add High Templars because he has added a few sentries, and my DTs are no longer working as a magic trick. What else can I do to grab their detection? Nothing. What else can I do to improve High Templars? I'm planning to add a qualifier, like a thingy, so that these armored units that, pretty much just upset High Templars efficiency. What I want to do is to not lose this game too quickly. What I want to do is to make sure that perhaps armored units or massive units do not trigger High Templar's special ability. Alright, so I'm adding some Vipers. They should, stack up nicely. Marines had been changed to 30 seconds so that, they could be nice and synced. Maybe I'll change that weird air business of 42 seconds and whatnot. I really don't appreciate that. Maybe not. We will see. What else is there? The idea here is that, by the way, in terms of heroes and other things, the idea here in this game is to move away from just being able to overtake the game using heroes. So I don't want, the issue with the game is that once you have 5 heroes, you can turn a wave quite easily, and the game becomes hero-centric. Yeah, by the way, another change is that I reduced the nuke damage to heroes, so you cannot obliterate heroes with just nuking them. The reason for that was to prevent stalemates. So if you're an experienced player, and let's say we're talking about this one-lane version, let's say that somebody has a nuke, and then they put 8 cannons up here, and it's a close game, like if you sacrifice 2 of your heroes, then you're definitely going to be starting going down. Right? So to prevent those stalemates, what I did was I added, let me add some mothership cores. What I did, I removed the damage insta-kill to heroes. So now nuke damages heroes. It may be buffed or maybe nerfed in the future, but for now I've added that ability to being able to push up the ramp with your heroes quite successfully, without thinking that, okay, they have 8 Odins, and if I lose something, you know, whatever. All right. Added a few more heroes by popular demand. Some people love it, some people complain about it. Definitely Zeratul is being too strong, too op at this point in time. And he will be nerfed because he's just way too strong. So he will be nerfed eventually, but I'm just giving people enough slack and enough bandwidth to experiment with it and have fun, just like in the good old days, because playing with Zeratul was the go-to thing and was the go-to method. All right. So while the ground is relatively balanced, there are still some holes with the ground. The air, I'm thinking, is the biggest concern, for me at least, at this point in time. The reason for that, oh my god, look at this. Courage. That is not good. The reason for that is Zerg Air, especially with Scourge, it can pretty much counter every other race. And that becomes a problem because Zerg Air, in and of itself, as a thing itself, does not present a valid threat to the enemy Nexus. So you got a race that pretty much is set up for stalemates, which is no bueno. In my thinking, that is no bueno. No bueno. Okay. So all of these Colossuses, and it seems like I'm going to be needing a nuke again. Unless something magical happens. What could be the magical thing? Maybe a few lurkers. I've added a little bit of a buff to lurkers because they have a really, really long range, but they would engage right at their range. What I did, I gave them a little bit of a splash damage, imitating them not engaging right off the bat. Okay. Now, what I want to demonstrate more is that these guys, Cyclones, they do not completely suck. So what I did, I imitated the behavior of Helions, and I've added that behavior to Cyclones so that they kind of represent and take advantage of their lock-on ability. So it was a tricky business, to not make them super buffed, but at the same time not make them useless. And I haven't figured out like the super effective strategies of how to make them work, but at the same time it's okay, it's okay. And I'm sure that you have some wiggle room with like trying to switch from a Warhound to a Cyclone, etc., etc. I had definitely buffed these guys. I had removed the roach requirement to build Ravengers, so now they're linked to Hydra, which is nice and proper. And yeah, that's about it about these guys. So I'm going to go ahead and add some queens, which could heal each other, by the way, in the abandoned version. For some reason, to prevent queen stack, they removed that attribute, and the game would just play counterintuitively to people. That's what I didn't like, and it was like genuinely surprised that some units cannot target Scourge, and there was like these tiny little things that you would never think that they were happening. Okay, all right, so there you go. Even though I'm not like super countering and I'm not super being spot on, at the same time, I'm only down 2 nukes, right? So it's 21 minutes. What can we demonstrate about, let's say, battle cruisers? They're currently cheap. I'm planning to increase their price to prevent the rush. And what I had added to battle cruisers is another version of Yamato cannon. So battle cruisers, what they're going to do, they are going to prioritize heroes for their Yamato charge. If they can't find a hero when Yamato is available, they will fire at a unit with some specifications, right? They're not going to waste their charge on any unit. Okay, so I maxed this thing out and the game is lagging a bit. Okay, so here come BCS, and you can see that there's an extra Yamato cannon added. So it will target somebody with life 200 plus or shields 200 plus, or it will deal 400 damage to regular heroes and 500 damage to massive. Heroes should be able to escape. Now, I've also done a number of improvements to the routing algorithm and some income stuff. All of these guys are targeting just regular optimization so that the game runs a little bit faster. That's not the case here. For some reason it lags, but it probably would have been a few frame rates worse. Not a big deal, but of course I gotta change these banshees. Okay. Liberators, I was trying to figure out a good counter to Scourge, and I wasn't really getting anywhere with it. What I did though was to buff Liberators a bit, and I also increased their range. So they have just enough space in between those Scourge to do something about them, but then they kind of get ahead and they get raped by the incoming air wave, which is fair and square, right? So he doesn't have any heroes right now, and I kind of feel like upgrading my pylons out of habit, I guess. But there's a whole bunch of Colosso and a whole bunch of air. And I'm not sure I'm going to be able to stack all that well. Added new heroes. I don't know, me really like Stukov. Doesn't, I don't know, I'm not a big fan. Kind of like my Zeratul gameplay a lot. So today I had also nerfed heroes a bit. Like, I've noticed that Kerrigan, you know, like you could always get away with so much stuff with Kerrigan, and today I realized why. Its energy regeneration rate. It was twice as much as any other hero. No, energy regeneration rate was a bit better. See how that BCS tried to chase Kerrigan? The regen rate was just a bit higher. It was like point something, 25% higher or whatever. But what was it? Life. Yeah, life would regenerate twice as fast without any delay or whatever. And so what would happen, you could be like pounding Kerrigan with, cannons and whatnot, and it would be just regenerating energy at a ridiculously fast rate while it's being attacked. Archangel didn't have any energy regeneration, didn't have any life regeneration at all. So I've added that. which makes a lot of sense. And now all the heroes are normalized. They're also faster. One of the things I hated about the old version is that you just had to like wait forever. You just had to wait forever for this thing to pick up and make sense. But with this guy, heroes are much faster. Kerrigan is 3.5. So in the old version, Zeratul speed was 3. So Zeratul is much faster. Archangel is ridiculously faster. Just to make heroes more disposable and make people more aggressive with heroes. Obviously, I'm cheating here with my Kerrigan. Well, cheating is like a word that is but she's not supposed to she's not supposed to being able to recover, even though you see, like, even with Medivac, like, she gets healed pretty quickly, so she would get twice as fast in terms of a recovery. What is an open issue with Kerrigan is the Kerrigan snipe. In one lane version, getting a Kerrigan snipe to work was almost impossible, so I've added some areas here specifically for that's the statue for Edico. I guess I removed that name because his championship win in 1v1 tournament had expired. Maybe we'll host